I would encourage you to attend the workshop. I'm going to be giving you a high-level orientation, but what you're going to get from them is a much more hands-on, probably tutorial. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
And that's what you need to do to really understand this, is you need to get in there and use it and try things and see for yourself rather than just hearing about it. But for today, the workshop that Jessica was just talking about. So it's September 16th, an AI workshop. You can sign up for it. Space is limited. Okay. All right, before we start, I want to ask you, when you hear the term AI, so two things. I want you to tell me what you think of. What's the first thing that comes into your mind? And the second thing I want you to tell me is what you hope to learn today. So raise your hand.
I want to know more about what it actually is so that I can decide if I really have any interest in learning more about using it. Because I don't know anything other than it sounds scary.
All right, thank you. Anybody else want to say anything? Okay.
Your opinion on how dangerous it could be?
Yeah. So I'm not going to go, so I'm going to be sticking around for the social hour. If you want to talk to me about anything that I present or things that I don't present, I'm not going to be talking about sort of the philosophical, moral, and societal impacts of AI. That's a very interesting and important conversation, but that's a big conversation. I think there's things to be scared about for sure. There's a lot of things that it can do for you, and constructive and useful things. But there is a sort of a dark side, as with all technology, right?
Thank you. How to identify AI?
How do I identify me knowing when you're using it?
Well,
Okay.
knowing when you're looking at it, when it appears. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody else want to say anything?
Alexa, play KQED.
Exactly.
That's a version of AI. It's a sort of less capable. She said, Alexa, play KQED. So if you have Siri or an Android phone with the Google Assistant or an Alexa device, that's a version of AI, but it's less flexible and capable than what I'm going to talk about. And Amazon, which owns Alexa, is trying to transform the guts, the back end, the infrastructure to make it more responsive. So anybody else want to say anything before we get into the slides?
Yeah, I'd like to know how they can save me time and make my life easier.
Okay. Don't we all?
I just was curious who Sam Altman is and what's the difference between open AI and AI?
Okay, so anybody want to make a final comment? One more before I go? Okay, or before I start? I'm not going. Thank you, that's all we have time for today.
I have to, a disclaimer, I come from an engineering background.
Okay.
What you're talking about is basically statistical analysis, looking at training data, and looking for correlations according to some rule, and then trying to fit into pieces, and that's very much what the Alexa is voice recognition.
Right, okay, great, thank you. So I've been around the internet marketing, different kinds of internet companies for a long time. And I've mostly in my career focused on how consumers use the internet to make decisions about which places to go, who to work with, what to buy, as a tool to make buying decisions. What about the slides? And I've also done a lot of research over time, quantitative and qualitative research with consumers and small businesses and digital marketing agencies and a lot of different populations. And I have two companies that I'm a part of, one that focuses on the search world, like Google and that universe, and the other one is focused on AI and how that's changing the internet and how people interact with technology. And as I said before to someone I was speaking with, the advent of this generation of AI, which is called generative AI, because you create things out of it, is as profound a development perhaps as the internet itself. Okay, so that's a picture, that's a AI version of a picture that's 25 years old like me. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the history of AI very, very briefly. How does it work? What can I use it for? Understanding some of the limitations, because there definitely are limitations that you need to be aware of. Scams, which I'm not going to go exhaustively into, but I will go into to some degree. And then maybe a sense of where some of this may be going, and then a Q&A discussion. And as I said, I'll be around for the social hour. Okay, so believe it or not, the term artificial intelligence was coined in the 50s. And so artificial intelligence in its various forms, and it's a cluster of technologies. It's not one technology. The gentleman here was referencing natural language processing, so the ability to understand speech. And there's a whole bunch of, I'm not a technical person, so I'm not going to pretend to be, but there's multiple technologies behind the scenes in these tools. And this is sort of a list of, you'll have access to the slides. This is a list of sort of dates, but it's incomplete. So we go all the way from, how many people have heard of the Turing test? Do you know what that is? Okay, so that comes from Alan Turing, and that came out in 1950. The idea of thinking machines and machine intelligence, and the idea was that if you couldn't tell you were interacting with a machine, then it would be significant. A significant milestone. And we're sort of past that at this point, I think. Checkers, chess programs. Who remembers when IBM Watson won Jeopardy, Beat a Human? And then we have a bunch of developments that culminates in the 2023 launch of ChatGPT. Now, to your question about OpenAI versus AI, OpenAI is a company name. The company was created in reaction to Google. This was a group of people who said we should have an open system that's accessible to everybody else because Google over here is too powerful. But they've changed their strategy since then. It's a company name, and AI is just in the company name. So there's not a meaningful distinction except for that. ChatGPT was released in November 2022, and that is the point at which all of this really took off. How many people have heard of ChatGPT?
Heard of it, don't know what it is.
Okay, how many people have used it? So quite a few people. If I ask you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 3, in terms of your sophistication about all this, 1 is least sophisticated, and 3 is most sophisticated. Who's a 3, most sophisticated? Okay, who's a 2? Most people probably, or many people. And a lot of people are 1s, everybody else is a 1. Okay, all right. So if you've used Google Assistant or Alexa or Siri, which most of you probably have, you use a version of AI. These are pretty clunky now, because in comparison to what some of the other things can do. And they're all being transitioned. Can I send a screenshot? Oh, this is my phone is responding. My Siri lit up on my phone. Okay, let me do a quick little demo with ChatGPT. ChatGPT has an app. They all have apps. Hello.
You need to talk.
Oh, I have no service in here. That's not going to work.
The password is over there on the wall, Greg.
Why don't you assist me by, what's the network? Can you just do it? I'm the speaker after all. I need to have some purpose here for my time. So Apple is trying to rebuild the back end of Siri to make it more flexible and more responsive. Google is doing that to Google Assistant. Amazon is doing that to Alexa. We've had every conceivable problem here, I think, today. Is it working? Okay, all right. Now I'm going to do a short demo here.
Hi.
room with a bunch of people who are listening to a lecture on AI technology and AI tools and how it can be used. What advice can you give to them? This is mostly a beginner audience.
Absolutely. Well, hello to everyone there. I'd say the main piece of advice for beginners is to just embrace a bit of curiosity and not feel overwhelmed. AI can sound like a big, complex topic, but at its heart, it's just about tools that can help you out in everyday life or work. So start small, ask lots of questions, and have fun exploring. You'll pick it up as you go.
Can you do the rest of my slides with me?
Of course, I'd be happy to help out with that. Just let me know what kind of
Can you see the audience?
Yeah, I can see them. Looks like you've got a nice group of folks there. They seem pretty engaged, and I can see a few people smiling, so that's always a good sign. Let me know how I can help with the next part.
Who are you talking to?
So this is the ChatGPT app for the iPhone. And this version is $20 a month. They have a free version and a paid version. You don't get the advanced voice mode, which is what this is, without paying $20 a month. But this is a camera, and you saw me talk to it, obviously. You can go out in the world and say, look at this tree, what is it? Or here's my prescription, does that interact with alcohol or whatever, and you can ask it questions about things that it can see in the world, and it will answer you as you just heard. So this is a kind of an amazing, totally amazing technology.
What is it called again?
This is the ChatGPT iPhone app, but they have one for Android phones. ChatGPT.
Can you ask her to speak more slowly for those?
Yes. I did this last night for Jessica, and this is exactly what she said.
What does the GPT stand for?
Where's our engineering friend? I don't know what GPT stands for. I should, but I don't off the top of my head.
Yeah, ask.
Okay, hey, I'll Hi, I'm back.
Hey there, welcome back, and no worries at all. So GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. It's basically just a fancy way of saying it's on models that's been trained on a lot of data to generate text. So feel free to throw any other questions my way.
You're talking a little fast for some of the audience. Can you just repeat that but more slowly?
Absolutely, I can slow it down. So GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. In other words, it's a type of AI model that's been trained on a lot of information so it can generate text. I hope that's a bit clearer, and let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to repeat more slowly.
We have some Spanish speakers in the audience. Can you say all that in Spanish?
Claro que sí. Entonces, en español, GPT significa Transformer Generative Pre-entrained. En otras palabras, es un tipo de modelo de inteligencia artificial que se ha entrenado con mucha información para poder generar texto.
Gracias.
Espero que así.
Okay, so you get the idea.
Right.
Yes, kiss the mic, okay.
Is the free version, can you use the camera?
You cannot do that with the free version.
And you can use the camera with the free version?
The camera is not the free version either.
Okay.
You have to pay the $20.
So for the voice and the camera?
Okay, so how many people have seen, everybody uses Google, how many people have seen this kind of thing in the Google search results? This is called an AI overview. Usually it's collapsed and you have to expand it by clicking a button. This is an example of Google integrating AI into its search results, and it's doing that in other ways as well. You'll see more of that over time. When ChatGPT came out, Google got very scared. Google is responsible for this technology, the transformer technology that everybody is using now. But Google got very scared by the popularity of ChatGPT, and so they started to transform their own product. And you'll see more and more AI features in Google. As we were just talking a moment ago, this is ChatGPT. There's a desktop application. You can get to it on the desktop by typing in ChatGPT, or you can just type chat.com, and it will take you there. And it has an app for Android and the iPhone. And there's 3 tiers. There's a free tier, there's a $20 tier, there's a $200 a month tier, and you get more features. $20 enough is plenty for most people that want some of these other features.
Can you put a document in and have it make it better?
Yes,
So she'll type it.
in order to upload it, you can,
Repeat the question.
okay, so the question is, can you put a document into ChatGPT and have it improved or edited? And the answer is yes, that's part of the paid version. You can only upload documents if you're paying at least $20 a month, not the free version. But yes, you can do a lot with documents.
Are there ways you can turn it on and off? The chat GPT?
Can you turn it on and off?
But sometimes it's annoying.
Well, you don't have to use it.
I know you don't, but there's so much written. You know, when you turn your computer on, and like I go into Google, there's all of these things that pop up that I don't want to see.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a longer conversation maybe.
So maybe we can hold the questions until the end of the presentation, unless you want to continue.
I'm fine, you worried about time?
And can you repeat the questions, or have them?
She's concerned about all the pop-ups and all the distractions that happen when she goes to Google and other sites, and that's not an AI-specific problem. You don't have to use any of this. So here we are. What makes ChatGPT or there are multiple AIs, and I'll talk about them. What makes it different than using Google? The thing that makes it different is that you can have a conversation, as you just saw. You can type in a search query or a question, and it will give you an answer or response, and you can follow up. Well, what about this? Elaborate on this thing. Tell me more about this. And you can keep going indefinitely. You can have a conversation with it, which is something that people like quite a bit. So you don't have to start a new session or type in a sort of truncated phrase. You can be as long-winded as you want and as detailed as you want. And in fact, that's better. There's better performance.
Are these things that you're talking about available with Siri as well?
Not currently, but they're trying to make it.
So just Google?
No. So before I move on, I'll get to your answer in just a moment. Before I move on, one of the things that you can do is you can ask ChatGPT or Google Gemini or Claude, there are multiple, Microsoft has one called Copilot. You can ask it how to teach you to do things. How can I use you? How do I do this? Tell me how to do this thing. Or what else can you do? And it will tell you, you can use me to do this. These are some common things that people do. Okay, how does it work? We got a little bit of that before, at the beginning of the session. I'm going to tell you this, and this will not make sense in terms of what you saw just a moment ago in the demonstration. So all of these AI systems are trained essentially on huge volumes of data, the internet itself, basically. Books, movies, video, text, enormous amounts of data. And then it learns to recognize patterns in the data. And it answers questions according to those patterns. It's making a prediction about what the image should look like or what the next set of words should be in a sequence. So is that making any sense to you? I mean, you understand it rationally, but what I demonstrated to you bears almost no relationship to that. Because I can have a free-form, free-flowing conversation, and how is this machine recognizing, saying in Spanish what it thinks is the next word in the sequence? It just doesn't, my mind is blown by that. But that's the way it's supposed to work. It's a prediction, it's a pattern recognition system that predicts what a cat should look like, or what a flower should look like, or what, all of these images I made with ChatGPT, basically, using just a description. And I'll get to that in a second. So it mimics human intelligence, but it doesn't understand. It doesn't actually understand what you're saying, which is also very hard to imagine based on the way that you can interact with it. All right, so these are the main providers of AI. There's scores and scores of companies. ChatGPT, which is owned by OpenAI, Gemini, which is owned by Google, Copilot, which is a Microsoft product that relies very heavily on ChatGPT. Claude, which is another company called Anthropic. Then there's a company called Perplexity. Then, of course, Facebook has theirs, and Twitter, or X, has theirs. And they operate in a similar way. They're not all identical. Some of them have weaknesses and strengths. Some of them are faster. Some of them do certain kinds of things better than others. My default is ChatGPT, but I also use Claude, not so much Gemini sometimes. Perplexity. Perplexity is the most like Google. Perplexity is much more like a search engine, even though you can do searches on these others.
Why did you have those first two in a box?
Because this is the dominant one in terms of which one people use. And Gemini is the technology, or whatever, that Google has this problem with naming things, but the technology behind Gemini is what Google is integrating throughout its network. So if you have Gmail, you'll see a little star, and it'll offer to summarize your email or rewrite your email. That's the same thing. If you go into Google Docs, for people that use Google Docs, it's in there. Microsoft has integrated AI into Microsoft Office. So you're going to see it sort of come into all these software applications that you normally are using. Are people following me?
Yes.
Okay. So what can I use it for? This is the big question. There's a ton of things you can use it for. Some things are better than others. So on the left side is a list that was compiled by a researcher who went into online forums and social media, places like Reddit. Do you guys know what Reddit is? Okay, Reddit is essentially a big online forum where people talk about different topics. There are different what are called subreddits dedicated to topics. So there might be a subreddit on East Bay, or movies, or food, or vacations, whatever. Any topic you can imagine. And he went in and looked at what people were saying about AI and how they were using it. And so this is his kind of qualitative, anecdotal list of how people in 2025 are using AI. And so the number one use is therapy and companionship. Therapy broadly defined. Like I have a problem, I want to confide in somebody. Can you help me with this? Right? Which is an hour-long discussion in itself.
Yeah.
And then organizing my life, finding purpose, which is a version of this. Learning, this is a software, generating software code, brainstorming, fun and nonsense, more software, creativity, healthier living. So a lot of different things. Over here is a survey that I conducted with 1,000 adults in June. And we said, we gave them a list of 20 things, and we said, what do you use AI for? And this was the top 10. General information questions, product research, so shopping, learning, writing, emails, letters, content, idea generation, problem solving, brainstorming, work, creating images, travel, and meal prep or recipe planning. So different lists, but sort of thematic tied together. So these are some pictures that I created this is Jessica and me in Hawaii. Yes. These are pictures that I created with ChatGPT. This is our cat, Freddie, in the style of Studio Ghibli, which is what these are. And these are all just based on text prompts. I'd like to see an image of the Google logo on a piece of toast. And that shows up. And it's quite remarkable. It's quite remarkable, actually. I want to see an old style illustration of a sea monster and the Spanish Armada, or Thai food near me on a road sign, rather. So you just go on and on and on and on and on. Okay. And this is a video. It's now happening with video. You can generate video through a text description. So my text prompt, they're called prompts. My text prompt for this video was a group of seniors in a room learning about AI.
Step out of the way.
So this is only 8 seconds. This is using a Google product called VEO 3, and you can go in and type a prompt like that, and it comes out with a very polished looking, just to see it again, oh sorry, very polished looking video. I didn't do, well, it's not going to show it to me again. Anyway, that looked like real people in a room, right?
Yeah.
That looked like real, like if we had shot that maybe here. And this is part of the thing that there's a dark side to this, which is people can be very easily fooled by these things, and there's a lot of fake video running around seeking to deceive and manipulate people and create false impressions about things. How am I doing on time? I'm still good?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go back here for a second.
Wow, thanks. How did you get it to do the picture of you and your significant other, wife, whatever, without further pictures?
We had a picture, and I uploaded the picture, and I said, make this picture look like Studio Ghibli, or Muppets, I think. I said Muppets.
How did you upload it?
So I took a picture, it was in my camera roll on my phone, and I have the app as you saw, and so I just was able to upload it. I lost the mic. I lost the mic.
Yeah.
Hello, hello. Okay, so I was able to just quickly upload it from my camera and then make the request, just provide a description of what I wanted, and that's what showed up. Okay, so I'm going to give you just a few kinds of examples of the things you can do with it. This is not exhaustive by any means, it's just a sort of a survey. So help me plan the long weekend in Napa. This is an AI-generated image, not an actual photograph. And this is just a piece of what ChatGPT came up with. So it's giving me an itinerary for a 3-day weekend, just boom, 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 very quickly. And I can say, I don't want to go to Yountville, or I'd rather skip this thing, or I'd rather add this other thing, and it will reformulate everything. So you can have a conversation with it. I'd like to take a trip to this place. I'm thinking about this thing, and it'll make suggestions to you, and then you can have a conversation. Well, what about spending a little more time over here? Okay, and tell me what the top things to do over there are, and make some restaurant recommendations, and find me an affordable place to stay, that has these qualities, and it'll give you all this information. Now, the information itself is not always accurate. Well, this is something you need to be aware of. For something like this, it's very good because it's giving you a list of suggestions. So ChatGPT and many of the other AI systems get their data from 2 places. So they have this training data set, which is the original data that comes from all the internet and different sources, and they train the system, and then that stops. So the training may have stopped as of October 2024. So anything after that date they have to go to web search. So they will do web search on top of their training data. They try and answer the question with training data first, and then they'll go to web search. So if you ask a question about the score in the game, or where is the movie playing, or what's the weather going to be next week, it's going to go to web search because it can't answer those topical questions with its training data. But if you ask about why did the Roman Empire collapse, or who won the Academy Award in 1974, it will use its training data to answer those questions. I mean, you don't need to know any of that, but I'm just telling you, it gets its answers from different places. Okay, so recipes. So this is another AI-generated image, and I just said I want a recipe for chicken tinga tacos, which is a recipe that we make sometimes at home. And it rattled off this recipe, which is pretty good. Most of the recipes that you can get just off the top of your head are pretty good and pretty reliable. One of the things that Jessica suggested to me when I was showing her this last night, she said, well, why don't try, like, I have these 3 things in my cupboard, or I have these things in my refrigerator, and it will give you suggestions. Yes?
Are these functions that can be done with the free or the $20 version?
Yes. Yes. This kind of stuff you can do with the free version. It's uploading documents and the advanced voice mode that costs money.
Oh, great. Great.
You're talking about functions that I've been able to do with, older approaches like just Googling things. So,
What's the point?
how is this better?
Well, it's not necessarily better. So if you have a trusted, like if you rely on the New York Times recipes or some, Bon Appetit or allrecipes.com and you like that, there's no reason to change. This is very simple. It's very fast and very simple. But you're right. In some cases, your traditional sources may be better. And if you're familiar and comfortable with them, there's no reason why you have to use this.
Thanks. Well, one thing that's true is that it changes a lot all the time, right? So I just asked ChatGPT, I don't pay. Okay, I've got a free version. Can I upload a document and have you improve it? Yeah, it said yes. Whether we'll do it or not, I don't know. But I have done that recently, changing the format of documents too. And then it said, you hit the free plan limit for GPT-5. Okay, responses will use another model until your limit resets in 4 minutes. Okay, I used it a lot this morning, so that's fine.
Right, so that's another thing, is that you get fewer limits, you're limited. If you use it up, as she has, then you have to wait, and it'll tell you, come back at noon or something. If you pay, you're gonna have more access to it. But I may have been wrong. I mean, she's saying that you can upload documents to the free version. So these features change as the system is the whole situation is very much fluid. It's evolving quickly, and policies are changing.
There's a question over here.
Well, okay, go ahead.
Besides the $20 subscription, how is ChatGPT making its money?
So right now, they're making money in two ways. By the subscription fees that individuals are paying and companies are paying for access. And if you're a big company, you pay a lot more. And then they have what's called an API, which is an application programming interface. And that gives companies direct access to the technology, and they can integrate it into their own app. So there's a whole, I didn't talk about this, but there's a whole, those companies and applications that I showed you, Gemini and Claude and Copilot and all of those, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of companies that are doing some AI thing, right? And almost every one of the apps that you use ultimately, and all of the software that you use will have some AI element in it. And those companies are all using these handful of systems because it's very expensive to create this, what's called a foundational model. They're also called large language models. It's expensive to create that. And so they are paying a fee to be able to access ChatGPT or Gemini and bring the capabilities into their thing. Whatever it is, a fitness app, a cooking app. And one of the chief benefits, to your point about why should I use it, one of the chief benefits is that it's easy. I mean, Google is very easy to use. This is easier because you can just say whatever you want. You don't have to formulate a search query in a specific way. You can say, I'm thinking about this thing, and I'd like some help with it, and I don't really know where to start. Can you help me out? And it'll respond to you. You can just talk to it normally, which is one of the things people like quite a bit. So to your point about making money, this is another long conversation, but these companies have raised enormous amounts of money, billions of dollars, levels not seen before. And there's a big debate about whether they can ever recover, they can make enough money to justify that investment. So right now, I think ChatGPT is making about $12 billion a year from these subscriptions. Eventually, they will have ads. You can bet on it. Well, maybe they'll do it more. Sam Altman, who's the CEO, to your question about who is Sam Altman. Sam Altman, or somebody asked over there, Sam Altman is the CEO of OpenAI, which is ChatGPT. And he doesn't like ads, and he doesn't want to put ads in it. But I think it's inevitable that ads will come. They may be do a sort of a slightly better version of it. And then they're gonna also do a shopping thing. I'll come back to you in a little bit, because I still need to get through some other slides, but go ahead.
I'll be really fast. So I have the free ChatGPT, and I took pictures of my bedroom, and I asked ChatGPT to help me find my keys.
And did it help?
It found my keys.
Right. So you took a picture and you uploaded the picture, or were you able to do?
Multiple,
Okay.
I submitted all the pictures of my room.
Okay, that's right. So there's a lot of uses that I'm not talking about that are pretty interesting and creative. This is why you need to go to the workshop and use it and start figuring out how you can use it, because there are all kinds of crazy uses that are not so crazy if you've lost your keys. So what computer should I buy? It'll take you through like all these considerations. You can say, I need to buy a new laptop, and I don't want to spend more than $900, and I don't care if I'm using a Windows machine or Mac, and blah, 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 and go on and on and on. And it will respond to that. It'll say, okay, I understand your budget, and so on and so forth. And it'll give you, and if you say, oh, this is all too complicated, I can't really understand this, can you explain it to me more simply? It will do that. It will change the output. So one of the things that I really like, we got solar panels a few years ago, and this is a contract that we had to enter into with PG&E. It's appropriate to hiss now. Okay. So for PG&E, and who reads contracts? Nobody reads contracts. They're just full of fine print. I was a lawyer, full of fine print. And you just click, 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 accept, or you kind of go through to where the signature line is and you sign, and you really don't have any idea what you're signing, unless you're a very, very, fastidious, kind of thoughtful person. And so what you can do is you can upload a document, and I said it requires a paid plan, but maybe it no longer does. You can upload a document, and you can ask questions about the document, an insurance policy, a contract, and you can say, okay, is there fine print here that I should be worried about? What are the main terms? Are there things that are excluded? Now, you have to be aware that everything that you upload is going into the system. There is a way to do it who knows what incognito mode is on a browser? Private mode, Safari has it, Chrome has it. There's a way to do that with ChatGPT, but most of what you do on there is going into the system to further train it. And so if you put financial documents or health documents in there, you have to be aware of the privacy issue. But this is a great thing. You can ask whatever question you want of the document. When does does PG&E owe me anything? What else do I need to know? However vague or however specific, and it will respond to you, and it'll say, here are some concerns, here are some things you should be aware of. And this is a great use case. You can learn how to make things and fix things. How do I change a tire? How do I plant a Japanese maple from a pot into the ground? And it took me to YouTube videos. You can ask for videos, or sometimes it will just show you a video. Show me how to transplant a Japanese maple into the ground. Show me a video of how to change my tire. So I didn't ask for a video there. I did here, and it gave me videos in both cases. So this feature is called Deep Research. When do I need to stop, Jessica?
In about 10 minutes. Stop, 10 minutes.
Okay.
So the question should be soon.
Well, we've been doing questions.
But talk into the mic, please.
Okay, sorry. I hope there are no diseases on this microphone. So ChatGPT has a feature called Deep Research, and so does the Google one, Gemini, and they all use kind of the same names, which is confusing. And what this will do is it'll go to websites and compile information for you, and then it'll create a report for you. It'll create a narrative report. So you could say, this is like the nightmare of every secondary school teacher. I need to write a compare and contrast report about, now I'm blanking on the authors. I need to know the themes of Moby Dick, blah, 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 blah. And it will go out and create that thing for you. In this case, my query was something about Watergate. Tell me about, Watergate or something. So it will go out, it'll tell you what it's gonna do, here's my research plan, and it'll go out and look at all these websites, and then it creates a report that you can read. And it's a very, very impressive capability. So if you need to do some research, like I want to research assisted living facilities in Northern California that are rated well, blah, 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 give me a report, it'll go do that. Now, you have to be aware that in some cases, the quality of these sources is uneven, but you can say, only draw from these sources, government websites or these, sources. You have control over that, but if you don't specify, it'll go out and just look wherever it looks. But it's a very impressive capability. And this is what's called an agent, which I will talk about in a second. Okay. Another thing you could do with documents, this is just a dummy spreadsheet. You could upload, if you keep your expenses on a spreadsheet or something, you could upload it and you could say, tell me about patterns in my spending, or project this out, will I have enough money in the future at 3% inflation or whatever. You can do a lot of stuff around financial planning and financial modeling. You have to be aware of the privacy issue. But it's a great thing. I have a certain amount of money, and if it's earning this amount, and I have this many years, what will I have at the end of that? Or I have this amount of money, and I have to take these required minimum distributions, and what's going to be left at the end. There's a lot of stuff you can do around financial modeling and planning that's very valuable. Health is another use case, but you have to be cautious about health. So this is 2 prescription bottles. And just as a hypothetical, it's like I said, I asked it, are these 2 prescriptions going to interact? And this is my prescription, so you can see I take thyroid hormone and blood pressure medication, in case you were interested in those medications. But it will tell you, no or yes. I mean, I have found it actually to be very useful. I recently got a bunch of tests, blood tests. And I got, from Kaiser, and then they just send me the results. And very often you can't really fully understand the results. The doctor's sort of not going to talk to you for a long time. So I took those, even notwithstanding the privacy issue, I took those tests and I uploaded them and I say, explain this. Tell me what I need to know about this. And it did a very good job on that. Yes?
You keep mentioning the privacy issue, so I'm
Yes.
assuming that when data goes into this, it doesn't strip off the names or any identification?
So, I can't answer you definitively on that, what they retain. They will tell you, no, we're not keeping any individual information, it's not associated with individuals, this is all just about training and improving the quality of the response. But there's a share function. So you can share results. So if you get some result that you want to send to your friend, there's a button where you can email it or text it to them. And what's happened in a couple of instances is that information, those shared results, have been indexed by Google and they were showing up in Google. So things sometimes that were private were showing up in Google. Now they shut that down when they discovered that was happening. But it's just something to be conscious of. I'm not trying to make you paranoid. And obviously I'm uploading all this information, my prescriptions and financial information and,
An open book.
right, I'm doing that even though I'm rationally aware that this is something we, yes, wrap it up, okay. Thank you. So I will go very quickly. So this is a good use case. You just have to be careful about not relying exclusively. Any third-party health information you have to verify with your doctor, but it's a very good resource. Local recommendations. I'd like a restaurant with a private room for a birthday party. I need a local handyman. This is not as good as Google for local information, but it's pretty good. Okay, and we're coming to the end here. Understanding the limitations. I've spoken about them to some degree. There's a term called hallucination, and that's when these systems make stuff up. So they are designed to provide an answer in every case. They don't say I don't know. So they will make up an answer sometimes. And it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen, and it can really be jarring if you catch it. And it will be very confident. I do a lot of work with data, and recently I've had a bunch of problems with this. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. Information may be outdated. As I said, the training data stop at a certain point, so there may give you outdated information. You know, you've got to be careful about accuracy, sensitive data, privacy, and unless you turn off the memory function, your prompts and the content will be used to train future AI. You don't want to do everything privately because you can come back to conversations. It will remember everything. Remember that conversation we were having about transplanting Japanese maples 3 weeks ago? And it'll come back and you can pick up where you left off. There's a lot of misinformation, disinformation tied to people using AI in nefarious ways to deceive people, to make fake videos, to make fake information. Which brings us to the penultimate part of this presentation, which is scams. So basically, all the old scams that you know about are just being supercharged by AI. There's nothing necessarily new, with the exception of cloned voices. So if somebody gets a piece of, snippet of your voice, they can then take that and turn it into an extended conversation with a script. And it'll sound very much like your voice. So this is something to be aware of. So if you're, don't just randomly start talking to people that you don't know on the phone. So it does all this stuff that makes scams much more powerful and much easier to do. And these are the kinds of things that that have been going on for a long time that people are now integrating AI into.
Can you read something? I can't read it.
Voice cloning, deepfake videos and video calls, phishing, which is where they try and get your email, get your information, robocalls that are AI, caller ID spoofing, meaning somebody that looks like somebody you know is not really, fake tech support, fraud, healthcare, Medicare fraud, catfishing, which is fake romance, investments. There's a whole bunch of things. These are not new. These kinds of things are not new. Here's an example of, this is from the New York Times. This guy's a real doctor, I think at UCSF. I think he's an endocrinologist. And somebody took his likeness and his voice and created a false endorsement for a product without his consent or knowledge. Okay, so I'm not going to read each one of these because we're short on time. Right. Yes, wrap it up. I see that. Basically, be vigilant and skeptical. All the stuff that you've been told to do. Just know who you're talking to. Don't give out information. Don't buy gift cards for your, some person in distress that you've never heard of.
That was too fast.
This is just a generic list.
This is also, it's going to be, Craig is recording this, and the slide deck will be available on YouTube next week.
And Jessica can give you my email address, and anybody who wants to follow up and ask me questions, I'm happy to do that. And your tech team can answer some of these questions as well. What's next? There's a lot, but I've only got like 30 seconds. So this is Perplexity, one of the AI companies that I mentioned. They now have a browser like Chrome or Edge. And the browser is different because over here on the side is a panel where there's an assistant. So you go to a website, this is for travel insurance, you go to a website and you can ask questions about this. We bought travel insurance for our daughters who are in Portugal right now, and I was asking questions. How does this compare? What are the exclusions? Blah, blah, blah. So it will have this constant ability to ask questions about the website and to some degree to bypass the normal process of looking at a website.
Do you have to be logged into ChatGPT to get other information about a person, or when you're on the computer, not even using GPT, are they recording your voice and taking down your data?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Can you be scammed through ChatGPT? Can your likeness identity theft through?
But if you're not connected to them at the moment, then you're doing something else.
Well, people are using different mechanisms to get your. I don't want to make you paranoid. I just want to make you aware that this happens.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of spam calls that come through, right? And you could pick up those calls and say, hi, hello, who is this? Blah, 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 blah. And that might be enough to capture your voice and then turn it into a much longer script, like, I'm stranded on a desert island, I need money right now, please send it to this address. I mean, you know. So I'll talk to you in the social hour about it. So I didn't say this. So I talked to you about the deep research thing. That's an agent. What an agent is, it does stuff on your behalf. You don't do the research, it does the research. What they're talking about very soon is being able to send some agent off a machine to book things for you, to buy things for you. I'm looking for shoes at this price, and if you see them, buy them. You know, blah, 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 blah. This is not, this is in the beginning, the early stages, but this is quite a significant thing, you know, that you can send the machine off to do a bunch of stuff on your behalf. Okay, Q&A. Now, there's a woman in the back who's been dying to ask a question, and I denied her every time. So we're going to have
This is the last question, Greg.
Okay.
How do you know if the answer is based on a user thing that's old, or does it automatically go to website? Does it automatically check? And how do you know how up to date your question is?
Well, so it will figure out what it has to use to answer your question. It will go to its training data first if it thinks it can answer the question from there, because it's cheaper for it to do that way. If it's something topical, like a store or a coming attraction or the weather or something that really requires up-to-the-minute information, it'll go to a web search. You don't have to worry about that. What you do have to be aware of is the possibility that it will make mistakes. Right, it's not going to do that all the time. It happens with normal stuff, the use cases that you guys would do, it's pretty infrequent. It's pretty infrequent, but it does happen. Okay, anyway, thank you very much. I'm going to be around to answer questions.
Okay, so Greg is here to answer questions. I think I'll put the slide back. I'm going to put the slide back to that list, or like what to be aware of. And we'll just leave that up for a little bit. And thank you, Craig, for your video recording this. Thank you, Craig. Thank you to all the volunteers today, the volunteers in the kitchen, the volunteers checking you in, Dawn and Veronique over here at the beverage table. Remember to thank your volunteers. And now you're all going to become a volunteer because, and also remember Raymond is here. Over here he can talk about the upcoming workshop, the AI workshop from the tech team. And your tech team volunteers are always available to help with questions about tech. So just call in if you need some help. All right, we're going to rearrange the room.